Chip, everyone is talking about ChatGPT these days. Now, I've played around with it just a little bit, but I'm not entirely sure how I'm supposed to use it. Can you help?
Yeah, absolutely. And ChatGPT is definitely a game changer in business today. I was an IT consultant back when businesses started using the internet, and I can tell you, I think ChatGPT is going to have as much of an impact on business moving forward as the internet did back then.
Wow, okay. All right, so let's go to the basics.
Okay.
What exactly is ChatGPT?
Sure, so ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence tool, or AI tool, and artificial intelligence refers to anything that mimics natural human intelligence. So things like visual perception, language processing, decision making, even language translation, all of those are artificial intelligence functions. Now, AI has been around for a long time. Technically, it's been around since the 1950s, and we're used to it in things like Siri or Hey Google on your phone or Alexa in your home. All of those are examples of artificial intelligence. But when ChatGPT came out in 2022, it really opened people's eyes to a lot more capabilities that AI is about to have.
Makes sense. Now I'm curious, is ChatGPT from Microsoft?
So a lot of people are confused about that, but ChatGPT is from a separate company called OpenAI. Now, Microsoft was an early investor in OpenAI, and they've made a lot of headlines with more money that they've invested in OpenAI and how they're using a lot of OpenAI products, not just ChatGPT, but other GPT models and the DALL-E 2 image engine. We'll talk about those some a little bit later, but how they're using those in their products. OpenAI says their mission statement is to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity.
Well, that sounds good. But what exactly is artificial general intelligence?
So artificial general intelligence, or AGI, is this concept of an AI platform that can match or exceed humans at all intelligence tasks, or at most intelligence tasks. So if you think about any kind of science fiction movie where there's a robot or a computer that's understanding everything that humans say and able to do everything that humans do, that would be an example of what artificial general intelligence, or AGI, might look like.
Wow. So that begs the question, is ChatGPT AGI?
So I think the best answer is not yet. I think researchers are clear that ChatGPT is not AGI. There's too many things that it's not good at. It's very good at some things, not so good at others. But I think we all recognize that we can see glimmers of what AGI is going to look like in some of what ChatGPT does. And we can definitely say that ChatGPT is a major milestone on the way to AGI.
Wow, I feel like I'm watching ChatGPT grow up before my eyes.
Well, we all are.
Awesome. So tell me, what exactly does ChatGPT actually do?
So mostly it generates text. That's what the G stands for in ChatGPT. It's a generative AI, which means it is generating content, in this case text-based content and things related to text, like, for example, computer code, based on what it's learned. And that's where the P comes in. So ChatGPT is pre-trained. So with other language models, you might need to feed it a lot of data before it understands the type of output that you're looking for. With ChatGPT, it's a large language model, which means that it already has a wide amount of text that's been fed into it and trained, so you don't have to train it before you can use it. You can just jump in and start asking questions.
Oh, that's remarkable. So how do we know what ChatGPT already knows?
Sure, so we don't know specifically because that's proprietary, it's a company secret, but we do know that ChatGPT is based on an earlier language called GPT-3, and GPT-3 is the successor to GPT-2 and GPT-1. So just to give you an idea, when GPT-1 came out in 2017, it was trained with 120 million parameters. GPT-2 that came out in 2019 was trained with 1.5 billion parameters. GPT-3, which came out in 2020, was trained with 175 billion parameters.
Wow, that sounds like a lot.
It is. You can think of it as probably every public page on the internet, plus a lot of books, articles, documents, and other text data. And it's not just the words, it's also the relationship of the words and the structure of the information. That's what the T stands for. It's a transformer architecture that relates to how the data is stored mathematically in the AI system. But even beyond that, ChatGPT actually enhanced GPT-3 with what we call GPT 3.5. GPT 3.5 has the same basic data as GPT-3, but it adds additional training to make it speak more naturally and make it more likely to understand the commands that humans are giving it. And even beyond that, now we have access to GPT-4. GPT-4, they've not released official numbers for, but most estimates say that it's probably been trained with 1 trillion parameters.
Okay, so I'm following along here, but it is quite complicated. I'm not really a programmer by any means, so how much of this do I need to know?
So good question, and you definitely don't have to be a programmer to use ChatGPT. Anybody can just log in and start typing and ChatGPT is going to respond. But some of this background information is going to be really important to have when you're making certain choices about how we use ChatGPT.
Chip, before we get too much further into ChatGPT, I figure I should ask if it works on my device. So does it work for Windows or Mac computers?
So as we're filming this, there is no official desktop app for ChatGPT. It just works through the web, so any web browser can access ChatGPT. They did recently release an app for iPhone or iOS devices, and there are a lot of third-party apps available in your App Store on Windows, Mac, and any kind of mobile device that also use ChatGPT. Be mindful if you're using a non-official app, there may be security and privacy concerns to think about with those. There's also a version of ChatGPT which is available through certain Microsoft products like Microsoft Bing and Microsoft Edge. We'll talk about those a little bit later.
Where do we get started then?
Well, let's get started at openai.com. So this is the website for OpenAI. That's the company that makes ChatGPT and other products. Now you can sign up for free, so if you haven't already signed up, then you would click on that sign up button in the top right corner. And this will walk you through creating your account as you would typically do. But we already have a demo account set up, so let's go ahead and close this tab and we'll choose the login button. By the way, OpenAI changes their website frequently, so it may look different than what you see here, but just know that the sign up button is for signing up and the login button's for logging in. Now, when we get to this screen, this is actually letting us choose from a different variety of OpenAI products. So OpenAI makes several apps besides ChatGPT. You can see here it's offering us a choice of ChatGPT, DALL-E, or the API section. We're going to spend some time in the API section later on in this course. DALL-E is related to images, so that's outside the scope of this course. But for this course, let's click on ChatGPT. Now, the very first time you log in, you may see some screens like this that are just giving you some information about what to expect from ChatGPT. The first bullet here is telling us that this is a free research preview and that the goal is to get external feedback. Basically, everything that you do while you're using the free version of ChatGPT is going to be used to train and enhance ChatGPT. The second bullet on here is letting us know that while there are some safeguards in place, it is possible, and in fact probably likely, that ChatGPT will give you some inaccurate information. It might even give you harmful or offensive information, and just to be aware of that. So we can go ahead and click on Next. So this next screen is just letting us know they're going to be collecting our data. Like we talked about, anything we enter can be used to help improve the systems. Go ahead and click on Next. And then this last screen is just letting us know that they love our feedback. But for now, go ahead and click on Done.
I've been here before.
Right, so this is the ChatGPT screen that everybody sees. Very easy to use. You can see down at the bottom where it says send a message. This is where we're going to send an instruction to ChatGPT. So go ahead and type something there.
Tell me about Atlanta.
All right, good place to start. Now you can either press enter or you can click on that green arrow with your mouse, but go ahead and press enter.
It's thinking.
So, and as you can see, as it's generating the answer, it's really working one word at a time. That's the way a generative AI works. You might have heard that you should think before you speak. ChatGPT thinks as it speaks. So it really is generating one word at a time to structure an article that it believes will match your instructions.
And I love how ChatGPT breaks down the information in different categories.
That's right, and that's a decision that it made. We didn't tell it to do that. It decided that based on the instruction we gave it, that was going to be the most appropriate information for us. Now notice once the answer is complete, there's a couple of changes on the screen. One is, at the bottom of the answer, we have an option to regenerate the response. Now, if we didn't like the response that it gave, for whatever reason, maybe it's inaccurate, maybe it's the style that we didn't want, or we just had a different version in mind, we can try regenerate response to see what else we might get. So let's go ahead and try that now.
It seems to be taking its time a little bit more this time.
The speed will depend on a lot of things, including how many people are using the system at that time, but a lot of it is on how complex the answer is. and also which version of ChatGPT you're using. We'll talk about that some more in a minute. Notice that while it's generating, that regenerate button has changed to stop generating. So if we see that the answer is not going in the direction that we wanted, maybe it's going off the rails, maybe it's just going in a different direction than we intended, for whatever reason, we can choose stop generating and it'll stop this current answer and wait for us to give it another prompt. So notice in this case, because this was the second time it generated an answer to this prompt, it's asking us the question, was this response better or worse? Now, it's not going to take it personal, but it wants to know what we were expecting so it can improve for the next person. Now, in this case, I think this prompt is longer than I wanted, so let's go ahead and choose worse. But I want to show you something else. Scroll up to the top of this answer because it's a very long answer. Not all of your answers will be this long. Notice that in the top, there's a few additional icons. Let's start with the ones on the right. Notice that the first one is a clipboard icon. If we click on this, it's going to copy this answer so that we can then paste it into an email or a Word document or wherever we want to paste it. The other two, the thumbs up and the thumbs down, are feedback icons. This is how we can train ChatGPT that we liked this answer or didn't like this answer. And you can use this on any response. It doesn't have to be one that was the second response like we did now. So in this case, I don't want to click on either one of those, but let's go back and look at that first answer. And the way we do that is over on the far left, you can see it's telling us that this is answer 2 of 2 from this particular prompt. Click on the left arrow, it'll go back to answer 1 of 2. And since we like this one better, go ahead and click on that thumbs up. So you can see it gives us the opportunity to provide additional feedback. If we want to specifically describe what it was we liked or didn't like about this one, we can enter it here, but that's optional. So in this case, let's just click on Submit Feedback.
What else can we get ChatGPT to do?
Well, there's a wide variety of things we can ask it to do. So for example, what's something you need to get done today at work?
Well, I do have to write an email to my boss.
Okay, let's ask ChatGPT to do it for us. Scroll down to the bottom of this answer, and where it says send a message, go ahead and type, write an email to my boss.
Wow, it came up with the subject and the salutation. Impressive. And it's even leaving areas for me to explain and put in my own content.
True, but it is a very generic email. So let's say that that email to your boss was intended to be asking for a raise. Why don't we ask ChatGPT how you can ask your boss for a raise?
I like the way you think.
Go ahead and click in the box where it says send a message, and let's type the question, how can I ask my boss for a raise?
Okay, now let's press enter.
Yep.
There it is.
Well, that's right. And notice what it's done is it's given us another email. Now, we didn't really ask for an email. We technically asked for advice. But ChatGPT understands context, and it assumes that everything in this conversation, everything in this chat is related. Everything from the question about Atlanta to writing an email to your boss and now asking your boss for a raise. But sometimes we don't want to have that context. Sometimes we want to be starting fresh. In fact, I'm surprised it didn't maybe mention something about Atlanta in our email to our boss. So notice over on the left-hand side, up towards the top, where it says Today About Atlanta, that's this chat. It's this conversation that we're in, and it has its own context. If we're moving on to a different subject, we don't want to talk about emails or bosses or raises or Atlanta, we can start a new chat and it won't have any of that context. So we do that by clicking on New Chat.
Let's give it a go.
And so now we're back to our blank new chat screen. Let's do something completely different. Let's ask it for guidance on throwing the best birthday party.
Okay, and I'm assuming because we ask for guidance, it's giving us a step-by-step procedure in the form of numbers.
That's right. So it does its best to interpret the command that you gave it and what it thinks you expect.
Wow, that's a lot of steps.
Yeah, apparently birthday parties are complicated.
I think I do deserve that raise. It's for him.
So notice a couple of things. Once it's done, over on the left, it has given our new chat a name, and it called it Best Birthday Party Guidance. Now that's not the instruction we typed in. That's a summary of what ChatGPT thinks this conversation is about. Really useful for remembering what each conversation was about, because you may have dozens or even hundreds of chats lined up over on the left-hand menu. And you can toggle back and forth to them at any time. So for example, we have that About Atlanta chat. Go ahead and click on that, and it's right back where we left off. We could continue that conversation, we could add more to that prompt and keep it going. But remember, in this case, we started off asking about Atlanta, but it really became about writing an email to our boss. So maybe that's not the best name for it. We can change that name by clicking on the pencil icon next to the name. And we'll just backspace over that name, and let's just call it boss email.
So it saved these two chats, How many chats can it save and for how long?
So it seems to save chats for forever, at least so far. ChatGPT is very new, so they may change that in the future. And it can save as many as you want, especially in the paid version. There may be a limit for the free version. But notice that if you have a chat that you don't want anymore, there is the trash can icon if you want to get rid of it.
Now, is this deletion permanent, as in we cannot restore it at all?
It is. There's no recycle bin like there would be in like Windows or Mac, that sort of thing.
Good to know.
So while we're here, let's look at some other things we can do in the ChatGPT user interface. So for starters, in the bottom left, we have our account menu. Now, right now we're using Trevor's account. Trevor is a demo account for us. So go ahead and click on the Trevor at Bigger Brains email, and you'll see a menu pop up. Clear Conversations is going to clear everything on this screen. It's a good way to start over if you've kind of been playing around with it. Let's go to settings. There's more choices we can look at there. So there's two categories in the free account. There's a third one if you have the paid account. We'll look at that later. In the general account, all we can do is change our theme. We have a dark theme, a light theme, or we can have it match the system, which is what we have now. We can also clear all of our chats from here. Go ahead and click on data controls. So here we can choose to not save our chat history and not use our chat history for training. Now we talked about how all the prompts, everything we type into ChatGPT can be used to make ChatGPT better. In theory, if you turn this off, then it won't be using your data to train ChatGPT. I'm not 100% sure that's true, but if you are working with more confidential or proprietary information, definitely not a bad idea to turn that off. We can also choose to export our data, we can delete our entire account, or we can enable two-factor authentication here to make our account more secure. So let's go ahead and close out of that for now. There's one last button we haven't talked about yet, which is Upgrade to Plus. Why don't we go ahead and click on that? And this is where we can upgrade from our free ChatGPT plan to the ChatGPT Plus plan, which costs $20 a month right now.
So what's the benefits of having ChatGPT Plus?
Well, there's a few things. It mentions a few of them here. The free plan, if a lot of people are using ChatGPT, you may be blocked from accessing it because they just have, only so many servers to go around. You, in theory, get a faster response, although I'll be honest, I haven't really seen that be much of an issue. In other words, ChatGPT would respond more quickly to you. But the big thing is you get priority access to new features, which includes GPT-4 right now and may include other things in the future. So if you have the paid account, you can use GPT-4 instead of GPT 3.5, which does have some benefits. You also get a couple of extra features as well. So let's go ahead and upgrade this account, and I'll show you what I mean.
Okay, we are in.
So we are. So now we're in ChatGPT Plus, and there's a few differences in the screen that we're seeing here. What do you notice that's different?
Well, it says ChatGPT Plus in the center as opposed to giving us options for examples and limitations.
Sure.
On top, it gives us the option for GPT 3.5 versus GPT 4.
That's right. So for every chat that we have from now on, we can choose which engine we're using. Are we using GPT 3.5 or are we using GPT 4? We'll talk some more about those in another lesson. So if we click on one of our existing chats, notice that we used to have 2 icons next to it, and now we have 3. So we have the icon to change the name, we have the icon to delete it. Now we also have a share function. So if we choose that, that's going to share this chat in a link that we can give to anybody else through email or through chat or what have you. So we can actually work together on a ChatGPT conversation with one of our coworkers.
Nice.
So now that we've seen how to get around in the ChatGPT interface and we've upgraded to ChatGPT Plus, in the next lesson, let's begin looking at some best practices for using ChatGPT by starting with some terms we need to know.
Awesome.